Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear students, today inshallah we're going to talk about the practical for the muscular tissue. As you know, dear students, the muscle tissue is one of the four basic tissues in our body, which are the epithelial, connective tissue, nervous, and muscular tissue. The muscle tissue arises from the mesoderm. From the undifferentiated mesenchymal cell, myoblast is formed. Then the myoblast change into myocyte or muscle cell that form the muscle fiber. The structural unit or the basic unit of the muscle is elongated cell. So it's called, instead of muscle cell, muscle fiber. We have three types of muscle fibers. We have the skeletal, cardiac, and smooth muscle. Why it's called skeleton? As most of it attached to the skeleton. Other name is called striation due to presence of a regular transverse striation. Not all skeletal muscle attached to the skeleton, as we have the muscles attached to the tongue, forming the tongue, the muscles attached to the face, forming the pharynx, upper third of the esophagus, diaphragm, and cremasteric muscle. We have the cardiac muscle, which form the middle layer of the heart. As you can see here, it shows branching and anastomosing. The smooth muscle present at the wall of the viscera as small intestine, stomach, at the wall of the esophagus, at the wall of blood vessels. Why it's called smooth? As I cannot see the striations, the transverse striation, due to presence of irregularly arranged myofibrils. Here is a diagram showing the skeletal muscle or the striated muscle. There is connective tissue surrounding the whole muscle known as epimysium. The muscle fiber arranged in bundles. Between the bundles, there is a connective tissue known as perimysium. In the bundle, there are muscle fiber. The connective tissue between the fiber is called endomysium. Here is LS, which is longitudinal section for the skeletal muscle. First, I want to ask myself what the meaning of LS. Okay, if this is a muscle fiber and I cut this muscle fiber longitudinally, it will appear as parallel cylinders like this. Okay, this is LS. Why it's skeletal? As you can see, the muscle fiber is cylindrical, having multiple peripheral oval nucleus, and these are, dear students, regular transverse striation. This regular transverse striation due to presence of many myofibril moving parallel to the long axis of the muscle fiber. The dark part is the A band, which is formed of actin and myosin, while the pale is called the I band, formed only of actin fibers. Alternating dark and light bands, many of them parallel to the long axis of the muscle fiber. Connective tissue in between the muscle fiber is called endomysium, which contains small blood vessels and reticular fibers. Here is a light microscopic picture for skeletal muscle longitudinal section. First, I'm going to ask myself why this is a skeletal, because here is the muscle fiber cylindrically arranged, cylindrical in shape, and these are multiple peripheral oval nucleus, and these are regular transverse striation. Why it is LS? As you can see, the cylindrical appearance here due to the LS section. I cut it longitudinal. The cytoplasm of the skeletal muscle is called the sarcoplasm. It is acidophilic as it contains mitochondria and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. And the transverse striation due to presence of longitudinal striation due to presence of many myofibrils that lie on the long axis parallel to the long axis of the fiber. Again, this is light microscopic picture for skeletal muscle, cylindrically arranged, and this is the regular striation, the nucleus multiple and peripheral. It is LS section. Another picture for longitudinal section for the skeletal muscle fiber. Here the multiple peripheral oval nuclei, and these are the transverse regular striation, and this is the endomysium. Here I cut the skeletal muscle transversely. Okay, you can see the muscle fiber polyhedral in shape, many sides. The nucleus is peripheral. The nucleus here, you can see it peripheral. The connective tissue between the muscle fiber is called the endomysium. Between the bundles, it's called perimysium. Surrounding the whole muscle, thick epimysium. What is the importance of this connective tissue? It holds the muscle fibers together, carrying nutrition and important for transmission of force, to have powerful contraction of the muscle. This is a skeletal muscle TS. From where you know it is TS, as you can see here, polygonal structure. Why it is skeletal? Because I'm having peripheral nucleus. Either I can see a peripheral multiple or single. Why? Because the section in the TS, maybe I cut one nucleus, maybe I cannot cut any one. Maybe I can see two nucleus in the muscle fiber. The connective tissue between the fiber is called the endomysium, and between the bundles, more thicker, containing more large blood vessels, called here the perimysium. Again, here is a TS section for the skeletal muscle. Here is the muscle fiber. The nucleus is peripheral. In between, this is the endomysium, and this is the perimysium. Dear students, you have microscopic slides, LS and TS for the skeletal muscle. When you can see it under the microscope, be sure that all the section LS or all the section TS, and be sure that no structure is present with this muscle. As we took before, the skeletal muscle present with the hyaline cartilage, spongy bone, and decalcified compact bone. Okay. Here is TS section, polygonal. Here multiple peripheral oval nucleus. Here is the endomysium. Here is the picture showing both LS and TS section. Here is the cylindrical, multiple peripheral oval nucleus, a regular transverse striation. Here is polyhedral peripheral nucleus, thin connective tissue, endomysium, more thicker perimysium. The second type of a muscle we're going to take today, inshallah, is the cardiac muscle. It forms the middle layer of the heart, known as the myocardium. Here I can conclude many features of the cardiac muscle. First, they are formed of small cells. These small cells join together by something called intercalated disc to form fibers. These fibers appear cylindrical and branch in anastomose. You can see the nucleus is single and central, and you can see here golden brown granules, which are the lipofuscin pigments. You remember the lipofuscin pigments? When we studied the cytology, we talked about the lysosome. When it contains undigested materials, I cannot open by exocytosis and get rid of this undigested materials and be present inside the cell. causing the presence of these granules known as the lipofuscin granules. When accumulated for a long period of time in the cardiac muscle, can do something called brown atrophy of the heart. Again, here is cylindrically arranged fibers. Here are the intercalated disc. Here is the nucleus. Okay, the striations appears a little bit irregular, not that present in the skeletal. Why? Because it branched anastomose. We said that the cardiac muscles join together to form the fiber by something called the intercalated disc. The intercalated disc is formed of, here is a transverse part and here is the lateral part. The transverse part is formed of two types of strong junctions known as desmosomes and fatty adherents. They are important to keep the muscle together while during contraction. If here this muscle contract and that contract, it will form a stress on this point. It may separate. It will never separate due to presence of what? The transverse part of the junction, which is the desmosome and the fascia adherens. Here, the lateral part of the intercalated disc known as the gap junction, containing the gap junction, that allow transmission of nerve impulse from one cell to another. We are going to study also the moderator band, a part of the conducting system of the heart. Here is the cardiac muscle and here are the Purkinje muscle fiber. This is a one fiber, appears larger, paler than the cardiac muscle. Here the myofibril appear here at the periphery and the nucleus present in the periphery or eccentrically situated. Okay, this is a light microscopic picture. This is the cardiac muscle and here is the Purkinje muscle fiber. Higher magnification, the fiber appears paler than the cardiac muscle, larger. Why it's pale? Because it contains more glycogen than the cardiac muscle. Here is the peripherally arranged myofibril, and this is the peripheral nucleus. Again, these are many Purkinje cells, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Here is the myofibril, peripherally arranged myofibril. Now we're going to have a test to be sure that we understood well the practical for the muscle tissue. First, dear students, be sure that you study something called visible feature of identification for any slide. What do I mean by visible feature of identification? When I put this slide in front of you, you're going to say it is skeletal muscle TS. Why it is skeletal muscle and why TS? Why it is TS? I can see here the section is polyhedral. Why it is skeletal? Because the nucleus is peripheral. Okay. The red curved arrow is the perimysium. The green arrow is the muscle fiber. The blue arrowhead is the epimysium. Here between the muscle fiber, this is the endomysium. Here, dear students, two types of tissues. This is the cardiac muscle and here is the Purkinje muscle fiber. Two visible features, larger, paler, peripheral, myofibril. Here, dear students, these are two sections, both of them cylindrical, and they are longitudinal section. Slide A is what, while B is what? A is skeletal, while B is cardiac. Give me visible feature of identification from where you know. A is skeletal, 1. Regular transverse striation, 2. Multiple peripheral oval nuclei. Why this is cardiac? 1. Branching and anastomosing fiber. 2. Single central nucleus. 3. Intercalated disc. Here is skeletal, TS, skeletal tissue. Why it is TS? As you can see, it is polyhedral. Why it is skeletal? Because the nucleus is multiple and peripheral. Okay. The red arrow is the endomysium. The blue arrow is the perimysium. The green arrow is the nucleus, that appears peripheral. The blue circle is the muscle fiber. Okay, again, muscle fiber. If I have arrow here, it is endomysium. Here is the nucleus, here is the perimysium. Here it is a section in skeletal muscle, LS. Why it is skeletal muscle? Because multiple peripheral oval nuclei, regular transverse striation. Okay, the red arrow is the endomysium, while the green arrow, multiple peripheral oval nuclei. The blue rectangle is the skeletal muscle fiber. The yellow arrow is regular transverse striation. This is what? Cardiac muscle. Why? Branching وانستموزing. Intercalated disc. Nucleus single وcentral. Golden brown granules, lipofuscin pigments. Again, this is section of cardiac muscle. Mention two visible features. The blue arrow is the intercalated disc. The black circle is the lipofuscin pigments. The red arrows is the endomysium, while the yellow arrow is the nucleus. Single, central, oval nucleus. This is what? Here, two tissues. This is the Purkinje muscle fiber. Visible feature, larger, paler, nucleus is eccentric, and the myofibrils are peripherally arranged. Here is the cardiac muscle. The yellow rectangle, it's not black, the yellow is the cardiac muscle. We have, dear students, two label diagram. This is LS section for skeletal muscle, cylindrical, it is LS, regular, transverse striation, multiple peripheral oval nuclei, so it is skeletal. Connective tissue in between is the endomysium. Here is the moderator band in which I can see Purkinje cells, okay, many cells having peripheral myofibril, peripherally arranged myofibril, peripheral eccentric nucleus, and they are surrounded with the cardiac muscle. Thank you, dear students. We have finished the practical for the muscle tissue. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.